All right, welcome to the Lyons Share. I'm your host, Mitch Lyons. This episode is always brought to you by MitchLyonsWealth.com. Check us out for my free book, Retirement of Steel, the documentary Retirement Deception, or sign up for our newsletter. But all your retirement needs right there at MitchLyonsWealth.com. All right, today is a change in leadership at Michigan State University in terms of their football program. Pat Fitzgerald, former Northwestern coach, being hired. Just thought I'd share my thoughts on this. First thoughts. I think it's a good hire. I like the fact that Pat was at Northwestern for 17 years. He's familiar with the Big Ten. Midwestern guy, played at Northwestern, was a gutsy, competitive, tough guy, overachiever, if you will. And he kind of coached the same way. I think he's more in line with what we've become accustomed at Michigan State, at least what I grew up with. George Perlis, Mark D'Antonio, for crossing sports. Tom Izzo, right? Guts and glue kind of guy that brings his lunch bucket and a flashlight to work every day because he knows it's going to be a long, hard day. So I like that. I think Pat brings that. He's only 50. I think that's good. He's got some runway left in his coaching career, and he's coming off 3 years now. Some people look at this as a negative that he hasn't coached in 3 years, coming off the scandal, which we'll get to, that he abruptly left Northwestern under. But 3 years off, I think he's had an opportunity to go back and coach his kids in high school, his younger two sons, which I think is cool. But he also had an opportunity to step back and kind of take a look at this new era of NIL, if you will, and and I saw an interesting interview with him with Reese Davis from ESPN on a podcast, talking about how he has kind of studied this whole NIL deal, and he's got some pretty serious thoughts on how to go about it and how to manage it. And I think that's at least when I heard that, he's got a plan, and I think Jay Batt, the AD at Michigan State, obviously has a plan. And I'm sure they've had those conversations in terms of funding NIL. It's a business, right? It's a pro football, just played on a college campus. So you've got to be able to manage that. I like the fact that Jay Batt made this happen quickly. There's no time to wait now with the NCAA calendar, as ridiculous as it is. I mean, you've got signing dates and transfer portal dates all going on at the same time the college football playoffs going on, which is just absurd, but it is what it is. So it was important to get somebody in there right away, somebody with credibility, somebody who's been there, done that. He won at Northwestern, quite a few winning seasons in bowl games, and he did it under, under academic conditions that, other schools in the Big Ten didn't have to deal with in terms of admissions and stuff into Northwestern. Poor funding. If anyone's ever been to Ryan Field, I mean, you didn't take a recruit there and sway them by showing them your home football stadium. It was a bit of a joke, and then they're getting that redone now. But man, Pat Fitzgerald coached under some pretty austere circumstances at Northwestern and had success. So I think that's a positive as you look at that. Like I said, he's passionate. He's more of an MSU guy, and I'll leave it at that. I think we all know what I'm talking about there. Negatives, his last few years at Northwestern weren't very good. They lost a lot of games. But like I said, I'm not as concerned about that because the guy he'd proven previously that he can win. And again, doing it under some pretty negative circumstances and still pulled it off and won with less. So I think if he gets the proper funding at Michigan State, he's going to have the support of the leadership. He's Jay Batt's guy now. Jonathan Smith wasn't. Jay Batt came in after Smith had already taken the job and was hired by Alan Haller. So this is Jay's guy, and this is who he's hitching his wagon to. And I think that's important. And I'm sure there's been conversations as far as NIL and commitment there, as far as what's going to be available to him in terms of resources to go out and get players in the portal. Obviously the one thing that is a negative is the reasoning he left Northwestern, which was under the hazing scandal, which he was later absolved of, that, he didn't know, he didn't have any foresight or knowledge of what was going on. I know a number of families that have had their sons go there. They support the guy 100%. They, for that matter, those families I know their kids didn't even witness any of this stuff going on, but is he responsible ultimately? Yeah, he is, and he took ownership of that from the fact that he was the one that had to go. They let him go, they fired him, and he later won the lawsuit, absolving him of the fact that he didn't have any knowledge of that. So, but Okay, the bottom line is it happened. It was under his watch. Yep, you pay your penance. He got fired, but the reality of it is, I mean, I think we're all entitled to second chances, and this is Pat Fitzgerald's second chance, and I think it's a great fit. I really do for him, for Michigan State, and the ability to move forward and try to get back on track quickly, which you can do in this era, right? This is this is a whole different ballgame. You can make a switch pretty quickly, and you see it around the country. You see teams get turned around quickly. You can do it if you have somebody that kids will buy into. You've got the resources to offer them. The ability to come play, make some money, put them in a position to play winning football, so that those kids that have aspirations to play on Sundays are going to be doing it under a coach that can help get them there. And his staff's going to be key, bringing in good coordinators to run the offense, defense, special teams. But he's a guy that's been around, man. He's got contact, so I trust he's got some guys already in mind, obviously, that he's talked to, and I suspect he'll fill his staff quickly, and he'll be in touch with kids on the team that he wants to keep there, kids elsewhere that he wants to attract there. And I imagine he has aspirations of turning this thing around quickly and getting Michigan State back to bowl eligibility next year, which would be a good start. So, that's kind of it. I'm sure some other stuff will come out as the news breaks, but I feel pretty good about it. I think it's a step going forward for Michigan State of some positivity. I think leaving Jonathan Smith there another year was just flailing in the wind. I never expected J-Bat to let him ride it out another year. So, but we shall see. Hang in there, Spartans. Maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully it's not a freight train coming through. So, go green, go white, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.